up, you guys? We are super excited to announce our new partnership with SabreSim. For those of you who aren't familiar, SabreSim is a DFS optimizer and projection system used by some of the top DFS players in the industry. It provides some of the best ownership and scoring projections on the market, and now you will have a chance to bundle it with an RPS subscription for our low price. For a limited time only, you'll get both Rumpure's great content along with the SabreSim product and projections, typically valued over $190 a month, combined for our low cost just by using the promo code SABRE15BIGT. How dope of a deal is this?
This is going to be the best deal in the industry. It's going to get you all the content on the site and the optimizer. So you got a nice intro price. This also includes the bet side, which we have one of the best bets teams in the industry. Also, the optimizer is going to be accessed directly on the site now. And eventually, we're even going to have the core plays directly on the optimizer within the next couple weeks. So another really nice bonus.
All right, so why don't you show us how quick you can knock out over 150 lineups using the SabreSim optimizer?
Yeah, this optimizer is going to be very nice on the site. Tons of new options. If you want to look at the screen, we got SabreSim projections, RPS projections right next to each other. You have options like being able to do the average of both, which is nice. Obviously, I like the Run Pure projections, but the SabreSim projections are awesome too, and it gives you a nice balance between the two to form some of your own opinions, which I love to do. As you scroll to the right, you got other stuff like ownership projections, which comes from SabreSim. Eventually, we might have more of our stuff on the site too, but SabreSims are awesome. Gives you another data point when you're building lineups. And then as you work your way to the right, we got the ability to see upside of players. 85th percentile, 99th percentile. You can see the upside of some of these guys. And then just to prove the point, you can build 150 lineups very quickly. Go up here to build lineups. Gives you a bunch of cool options that we'll go through as we start getting used to this and putting content out. But you got GPP, cash, multiplier, satellite option. For this, we're just going to do GPP. I'm going to show you how quick we can make 150 teams. But also, you got single entry in here, 3 max, 20 max. Just a ton of cool options to show you guys as we get going. How many entrants are in the field you're playing, put that in there. Bunch of cool stuff like correlation, ownership, variance with the sims. Tons of stuff that you're going to be able to use. I'm going to run 150 teams here and show you guys just how quickly you can run 150 with this optimizer. So as you can see, 150 teams took me about 30 seconds. And once you have more time, you can play around with the numbers, really get them where you want them. But I was just trying to show how convenient it is. You got your optimal team right here. Shows you how much salary you used, projected score, SabreSim score, which kind of shows you your upside type thing. Tons of stuff on here. Total ownership, 267%. So a chalky team right there. But again, as we get more comfortable with the system, you'll be able to tinker a lot more. And tons of stuff up here too. If you want to play an upside team, you can click 99th percentile. It's going to run again for you. Give you an upside team here, more upside. Tons of options though. As we get going, we're going to do tons of content. All of our shows are going to be using this. I'm going to be using it personally to build my tournament teams. Super excited to get going with SabreSim and get this partnership going to make the content we do even better going forward.
And just a reminder, you can access all of the Run Pure premium content for all sports, along with SabreSim optimizer and projection system for the low monthly price for a limited time. Just use the promo code SABRE15 while signing up to get this deal. Don't wait, sign up now, and of course, let's Run Pure.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Week 15 NFL preview show. We'll do a little recap of Week 14, kind of go into the pricing in Week 15, maybe break down the Millie Maker winning lineup as well. But I will say this is going to be a little bit different than most preview weeks. A lot of these teams there's going to be a lot of news that breaks this week. It seems like this COVID shit's running rampant through all these teams, and they're still, with the strict protocols and rules in place. We're going to have a lot of guys probably out this week. So a lot will change. But we're going to kind of, put a bigger emphasis on the pricing and just kind of look at guys that kind of stand out from a pricing standpoint. But as always, joined by my two boys, Title, Mangone. Mangone, I'll start with you. How's week 14 for you?
Not a great week 14, but happy to move on to week 15. And I kind of think I've been kind of waiting for a week like this where it's going to be super ugly. And there's just not that one game that sticks out. So feel free to get creative, don't feel like whatever, if the chalk ends up being Lions Cardinals, you don't need to embrace that. It's definitely a bit of a rough slate when it comes to that. And then we have a Saturday 2-gamer, right? We got, I believe it's Colts and Patriots, and then it's Raiders and someone else. Who's that one? Do you remember who?
Raiders and Browns, and the Browns just ruled out a shit ton of guys too. So
a lot of establishing the run. I'm sure the pricing is not that great and a disaster. So hopefully it doesn't turn into an absolute pick'em. That would be really bad. Wouldn't shock me if it was like that on FanDuel, but it should be a fun week of football. We get that Chiefs and Chargers in the Dome, Thursday Night Football. I mean, it is a fun week, I think. I know the main slate sounds gross. Holden will be somewhere saying, oh, what a bad week. But Holden, we don't got too many more of these left. So just hang on tight. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Sunday. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, I looked at the schedule ahead. It looks like the last 2 weeks are just full all Sunday, no Thursday and things like that. So, things will be changing here as we get down to the end of the season. Title, how are things going for you over there?
Yeah, it wasn't the best week 14. Excited to move on to this next week. A lot of chalk.
How's that possible? Sure. Josh Allen scored 42 fantasy points.
I played Taysom Hill everywhere. It was it was a unique week. I even played him on FanDuel. It's not like Taysom did bad. It was mainly it's mainly the other pieces. A lot of us. Yeah. I mean, Yahoo actually. Somehow I've been getting the most volume on Yahoo lately, and that is where I did cash. I lost FanDuel and DraftKings, so it wasn't an absolute killer. But I'm excited. Yeah, this week I'm excited. I mean, 2 games on Saturday is always fun. The last UFC card of the week. So Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be a very fun weekend. A lot of money up top. Good Thursday night game. Excited to dive into it.
My feelings are still hurt from the Saturday UFC card. It was a touchy subject. I mean, just phenomenal content on your part. I mean, just all over everything leading into those last 2 fights. And it was the Nunez thing was super, super painful. I mean, just, man, I'm still shocked.
You go Jan Blachowicz, mid-October, minus 350, loses when we have all the money locked up.
Yeah.
And just need a minus 1,000 Nunez, biggest upset in MMA. I mean, you got Charles Oliveira, right? Even the main event was right. It's just that one fight. We all had the stones.
Man, painful run out. But, hey, it's the nature of the beast, that's for sure.
That makes it feel better. I was never going to pick Pena. I never debated hedging it.
No.
There was nothing that was going to change me from that. So
no.
It's part of the sport.
Nothing you could do. I mean, it was just sad how it went down. I mean, because first off, bad strategy on her part to just stand there and continue to throw blows when she's taking the rough end of the hits. Tie her up a little bit, try to get her down to the mat. I mean, she just sat there and was just absorbing hits and really kind of gave up because she didn't have
adrenaline
that choke.
Dump.
Yeah,
adrenaline dump too. She was just she couldn't knock her out. She threw herself out, and after that, it was all she wrote.
Yeah, it was wild for sure. We're going to go ahead and recap the Millie Maker winner this week. And it was a team that I think was a little off the beaten path, really, when you take a look at it. Got the guy that won it was Coob 80, $100 left on the table. And Josh Allen, Cole Beasley stack, it looks like here. And do we have any runbacks? With no runbacks, Seattle. So the correlation, he had Rashad Penny, who is 2% owned with the Seattle defense. Of course, my boy Hunter Renfrow in there with that 32 piece. Not unless I'm missing something. I mean, last week I said there wasn't much correlation, and you guys pounded me on it. I'm not seeing much correlation here. Is there? Am I missing something?
No, I don't think so. I'm only seeing that as well. The running back defense, Penny, Seahawks, and then Josh Allen, Beasley. I think that's it.
Yeah. So no run backs. I mean, it continues the trend where we're seeing non-correlated lineups do well. I don't know. I mean, we all have our difference of opinion when it comes to that, but obviously you needed Josh Allen at quarterback, 42 fantasy points. You definitely needed my boy Renfro, 32 fantasy points. He had Mark Andrews here, who was able to muster up 31, mostly in garbage time, I believe. He got there at the end. Robbie Anderson appears in the winner again. This time he actually did well, 21 fantasy points. Last time he was just like in there. Cole Beasley didn't do all that much. Jamar Chase was obviously a key piece. And then Rashad Penny, like no one, played him. No one really saw that coming. At 2% owned, Saquon Barkley, 13% owned, just a decent game with 18 fantasy points. I don't know, kind of just seems like a random lineup that won. Mangone, you seen anything here in this one?
Nothing crazy. I think the Rashad Penny call was super sharp. It leverages the DK Metcalf and the Tyler Lockett chalk, right? And I know Tyler Lockett still did well. Obviously, those can still both do well. But in a way, it just – if Rashad Penny does have a big game, but both those receivers probably aren't either. So that's pretty big. So I think that was a pretty sharp move there. And then I wanted to mention Robbie Anderson. Like, that's the second time you said Hoop he's in the Millie winner?
Yeah, last time I think it was just like a coincidence. The guy had like everything else right with some low-owned plays, and Robbie was in there with like a 7-piece or something. This time Robbie earned his way with 21.
We don't say that. If you're in the winner, you're part of the winner. You are part of the equation, right? Even if you're a little bit of salt on like the nice dinner made, you were part of the equation to make that masterpiece. And Robbie Anderson is a 2-time Millie Maker winner this year, so we can shove it in holding space maybe on Thursday. That would be fun. But I do think it's kind of a little bit of a random team. I think the biggest takeaway when I heard you talking that I thought of was like I think sometimes everyone wants to force that run back, and I think if it organically fits, it's perfectly fine. But if you think about like a Kansas City Chiefs stack, and you say, okay, like Kansas City Chiefs and the Raiders, and let's say you went Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Hunter Renfrow. It all makes sense, but like when you think about the amount of salary that team has to score, it's a lot. Like they have to put up a huge score in order to be on that winner. Now, is it possible? Yes, but sometimes I think people force it in and they'll be like, okay, I need to force in all of these guys to make it work. And then like you're just left with all these dust balls. And like I just don't think that's the correct way to build. So ultimately, I think that's one takeaway I have from this is I'm going to continue, and I feel like I've been doing a good job of it. It's just not forcing a stack. Like I think in the past I would have forced like a Kansas City stack really hard. But last week, as I looked at the salaries and looked at the slate, I kind of leaned on going Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and then I wanted a cheaper guy, and it was like either going an Ayuk or a Wilson Jr. instead of a Kittle, because Kittle I thought made it very difficult to build it. But I think that's just like something I'm thinking about with my salary is I think taking some of these cheaper stacks is a smart way to go at times. And like Josh Allen to Cole Beasley is like, it's still pretty cheap because he got that Cole Beasley option and he didn't force a run back of a Godwin or Evans or a Leonard Fournette to like hurt his lineup overall and to be able to make the full on construction work.
Yeah, I guess the one thing, running back, there's a lot of busts at running back, a lot of guys that underperform. So getting 30 from Rashad Penny at 2% owned is truly the difference maker here in this lineup. And then obviously had the other big 30 pieces with Renfro and Andrews mixed in there. So no multiple, only 2 running backs. And that was kind of the key this week because so many of those running backs underperformed or busted. Title, any thoughts here on this lineup?
Yeah, no, you pretty much said it. Penny was definitely the difference maker in this lineup with Gibson busting and so many of them. 2% owned, 4,800. You just get that absolute nuke. Mark Andrews, stud. Robbie Anderson gets there at 1%. Like Cole Beasley, 15.4. That wasn't like insane, but because you had Penny and with how much chalk busted, it was fine. This guy had 2 lineups in this, so pretty impressive. 2 lineups. You can kind of tell he had 2 lineups, probably hand built because I don't know. This isn't a lineup I would play, but congrats to him. He won by 4 points. Rashad Penny was definitely the difference maker. Hopefully he gets a jersey.
All right. Before good luck getting the jersey, by the way. I'm really struggling with this Hunter Renfro. I mean, I think I have it solved. A guy in the YouTube chat yesterday, I believe, is coming through. So we'll have to see. Like some of these on Amazon and eBay, they say they have them. You go to place the order and they say unavailable. So my boy comes.
Is it solved yet, Hoop? Like, do you feel good it's solved?
I think I'm about 80% sure I'm going to have one within a day or two. So that's about as good as I could hope for.
If you're struggling, give me a call. I think I could pull it off if I have to.
I have to.
I know a guy in Vegas, right? Like if I told him, hey,
well, I got freaking what's his name? I got K Fallick is in Vegas right now. And he said he went to the store. He said he went out and couldn't find one. I'm like, K Fallick, come on. Like, I know you can get one.
How much effort do you think how many stores do you think K Fallick went to? One, right? Like yeah. He was going to pick up lunch and he said, oh, there's an NFL shop. And he like came in and like, I don't see the Renfro jersey. He didn't ask a guy either. Like, there's no way. Like,
yeah. See, so like the one I did have on Amazon, it said there was extra large, which is what I'm looking for. Went to place the order. They said they only have, get this, 4X or 5X. It's like, okay, well, if I'm buying one for Big T too, that might work. I mean, not for Hoopster. Hoopster's not a 4Xer. Like, so we'll see. I think I have it solved.
Well, if you're struggling late, I'll just call the bullpen. I'll see if I can pull it off last.
All right, we got a few things before we get into the breakdown and the first look, the glance at the pricing. First off, we have that promo still going with SabreSim. Saber15 is that promo code, gets you 15% off on any package that includes a Run Pure Sports content package and SabreSim combined. This is only going to last for about a couple more days. The value on this is about $180. When you use that promo code, you get it for $127.50. And that'll be month after month. You'll get that discount on your account. So a couple days left to get in on this. It's a great deal. And like we've been talking about on the shows, over time, more and more of our content is going to be incorporated right on the SabreSim Optimizer, which is also right on our website. So great value. Definitely look to take advantage of that. Had some big wins over the weekend. Our boy Swint took down 20K in MMA. Big Mike took down 7K in NFL. CB389, $10,000 NFL win. Angle Tornado, $13,000 NFL win. The Man 11, with a $100,000 NFL win. And then our boy Bobby Gomes took down a live final seat. So he'll be down there in Miami this week competing for that $2.5 million top prize. So congratulations to all the winners. Make sure if you guys are watching this, also hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Helps us to continue to bring you guys these shows for free on a daily basis. Let's kind of go ahead and get into the first look here. Let's start on the DraftKings. We'll start on the DraftKings side of things. We'll start at quarterback. And like I said, a lot is going to change over the course of the next 5 days on this NFL slate. A lot of teams are coming down, putting a lot of these guys in health protocols, the close contacts, everything. We got a bunch of guys already out for that Saturday game with the Browns. It's gonna impact the slate drastically this week, and you kind of just have to wait and see what happens with a lot of these guys. But I have a feeling come Sunday, we're gonna have a lot of big names kind of ruled out. But let's start at the quarterback position. Let's start on DraftKings. Got Josh Allen coming in at 8.1K. I think he's definitely got to consider. I mean, I don't think the Bills are a very good team. You look at who they beat this year. They've beat nobody except the Chiefs early on when the Chiefs were in absolute shambles. They have no signature wins outside of that Chiefs game. I don't think the Bills are a good team. But this week they're in kind of like a must-win situation. They're going down the spiral right now. Good spot against the Panthers. I think Josh Allen's in line for another big week. I mean, they just got to lean on this guy to get wins. I mean, the rest of their team is just pretty damn dusty at this point. Got Kyler Murray. They're facing the Lions, 7.9K. He looked actually pretty bad last night, but should be a good bounce back spot for them against the Lions. Dak really hasn't been doing anything, but he's down to 6.5K. Tempting at that price point, but they're winning games in different ways at this point. The Dolphins are playing the Jets. Tua is only 5.7K. I think he can definitely get to 20 in this spot. So, just a few guys that kind of stand out to me on the pricing spectrum. I'll go to you, Mangone. Kind of talk to me about this quarterback position on DraftKings.
Yeah, quarterback is a little rough this week. Also, it's getting cold. We're in December now, so dome games are going to matter. I don't know what the weather in Buffalo is going to be in December. So Kyler Murray at 7-9 against Detroit, bad team, against the run too. It does feel like a good, like Arizona just absolutely like blazing on the Lions bounce back spot. It feels like they kind of need one of those. They've been struggling for, it feels like a couple months now. So I think that it's not a bad spot to go Kyler Murray. Just depends. Like you want to spend that price tag because it is pricey. The Rams are also in the dome against Seattle at 7K. Matt Stafford, he obviously had a nice game. That offense is starting to click and they're going to keep clicking, right? Like they're not going to keep their foot off the gas. I mean, them getting Odell Beckham involved and acclimated the offense, like this matters going forward. I mean, they're still fighting for, seeds and everything. So I expect the Rams offense to be full throttle and ready to go. And Matt Stafford at 7K in that dome, definitely not ignoring that. And I'm definitely looking at Tua. I think the Tua call makes a lot of sense. Anyone against the Jets, 5.7K, you can't ignore him. Another guy to mention is Dak, you could make an argument for, but I just think they're going to be up on the Giants and it's just going to be lame. So I don't need to go there. Cam Newton is 5-4 against Buffalo for the rushing upside. You can make an argument, but I don't like that. The guy I kind of don't mind in tournaments. And it feels kind of gross, but this Niners pass game is not that good. Like Matt Ryan at 5-3 definitely could make some sense here. Let's see what Kyle Pitts' price is. Kyle Pitts is 5-5. So like in tournaments as a stack, like it definitely could make sense at that price tag. But I don't know. I'm trying to look at some cheaper quarterbacks this week. So I don't think it's a bad route to go. It's hard to really get behind the Jaguars. I mean, they are playing the Texans and Jacksonville, not bad weather more than likely. 5.1K for Trevor Lawrence, and it is Houston. But man, like, can you really back like an Urban Meyer team right now? I mean, it's an absolute disaster. So it's definitely tough sledding here trying to pick the cheap quarterbacks, but I definitely want to try my best to get a little creative down here because I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think, just kind of looking at everything, big picture, it looks like wide receivers loaded this week. We finally have all the big boys on this slate. So especially on a site like DraftKings, I don't think going cheap at quarterback is going to be a bad idea this week. But a lot can change as the week goes on. Over on FanDuel, I hate to ask a question that I think I already know the answer to, but Title, what stands out to you on FanDuel this week at the quarterback position?
Josh Allen does indeed stand out, 8.7K, gets Carolina. You kind of talked about it. They need to win. Kyler Murray at 8.8, though, like Mangone says, I mean, it is in December, so the weather we do have to monitor. It can get gross in Buffalo, as we've seen. Kyler's in a dome against Detroit. So come Sunday, if you see that the weather just is really bad, take the safety in Kyler Murray. I think he's going to have a great game. Other than that, I mean, we really don't need to pay down on FanDuel usually. Dak at 7.5. I don't mind. It's at least a big enough discount, $1,200 from Allen, $1,300 from Murray. Wouldn't hate that. And then Tyler Huntley starting. I'm expecting Lamar to be out. You get Huntley on both sides too. You get some rushing upside. I doubt I'd go there on FanDuel. Still probably don't want to do it on DraftKings, but he definitely has to be in the conversation with his rushing upside.
Yeah, Mangone mentioned Stafford, and I do like that call too. I mean, he looks really comfortable with all three of his guys at this point. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, and now Odell. They look like he has a good connection with like all three of these guys. So I don't mind Stafford either in the spot against Seattle.
Yeah, you can't ignore Huntley too. I want to mention that because I think the one thing you're going to see with the Packers, which is going to be a struggle, is Aaron Rodgers with that toe. Like he did take a setback. And I do think at times, like you're just going to see him maybe like make like a bad throw or like, might fall over and like that could just like keep teams in the game and stuff. Like just little things like that, I think over time will add up and cause some issues. And like, they might even take it easy at times because they don't want to like hurt his toe. And like, they'll be like, okay, we have a lead and just like ease off. And like Huntley just might like just get there like and suck out at the end like Jalen Hurts used to. So it just wouldn't shock me if Huntley's not a bad cash game option as the week goes on. It just depends because like Hoop, you know how it works, right? With the Chargers, like we got like all that news that they were there and there were like some absolute locks you had to get in. We had some really good values and like it could just change the structure of the slate. So it just depends.
It seems like a lock to happen this week. I mean, we're definitely getting more news throughout the week. There's going to be some big names ruled out at multiple positions. You can just see how this is all shaping up this week. It just seems very obvious, but take it a day at a time and see what we get. The running back position, I think, is one of the more difficult weeks at the position as it stands now. Like I said, a lot will probably change, but man, I'm just looking through this and nothing really stands out to me at the position. we don't have some of the big names on the slate. We have some injuries, but the prices have adjusted on other guys. Title, let's stick with FanDuel. Talk to me about this running back position, because I am not seeing much that stands out at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. It definitely isn't one of the best running back weeks. We talked about the receivers that are on the slate, so we don't have the Jonathan Taylors to pay up for. We don't have the McCaffreys, obviously. So 8K James Connors, I think, as high as I'm looking at right now. I mean, we just saw what he did yesterday as a massive workload. If Chase Edmonds is active, though, and I'm assuming he will be, since it sounded like he was really close to being activated yesterday, it definitely is a bump down to him, but I still expect him to handle majority of the workload. Detroit, who's bad, good game script. Outside of him, I never mind Cordero Patterson. It's usually just a tournament thing. He's 7K though on FanDuel. He's just a really good running back, probably more tournaments though. But again, that's kind of the slate we're looking at. Below him, Antonio Gibson, Zeke, Sony Michel, all three of them are really good plays, but is Pollard back? Is Darrell Henderson back? Is McKissick back? So much can change, like you're saying. So those prices stand out, sub 7K. James Robinson at 6'3", but it's not fun playing a Jacksonville player right now in cash. Myles Gaskin, 6'6". He gets the Jets. Those are some names standing out right now. But, yeah, I think a lot's going to change from now until Sunday with our lineup. So definitely make sure to look at the cash show on Thursday, and then we'll have everything updated too.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be in cash games a 3 or 4 wide receiver week, even on FanDuel, because I think wide receiver is pretty damn loaded. Running back, not very appealing at this point. We'll see what happens throughout the week. Mangone, a lot of the same, conversations, I guess, on DraftKings, same decisions. Overall mindset just remains unchanged on DK. There's just not much that stands out to me. Are you seeing anything that I'm not?
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much else to really say. Nothing that really stands out. But it's just going to be a tough week, and we're going to have to wait on this news and kind of see what happens, right? I think that's going to be super valuable. And yeah, I think we'll just go from there.
Just a position that does not stand out now. A wide receiver, it is a position where we have some standout guys. I mean, it's the first slate in a while where we got Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, all on the slate together. The position's very loaded at the top. I think there's some mid-tier guys that we can consider. The Dolphins are in a good spot. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, interesting. We have CeeDee Lamb, a tier below those other guys. Brandon Ayuk's been playing better. You always got Deontay Johnson, a good guy to target, and 10 targets coming his way. Odell Beckham has a fair price tag. Wide receiver, I think, is pretty loaded this weekend. This probably is the spot that I'm going to be looking to spend. Let's stick with the DraftKings pricing and Mangone. What do you got for us here?
Yeah, I mean, jamming in Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams does not sound like a bad idea to me. Also, like Deebo Samuel at 8-2, like the involvement he has in the offense. And I was kind of nervous to go to him last week. But, against Cincinnati, 8 rushing attempts, and of course he only had 1 target. So technically only 9 opportunities, but I wouldn't sleep on Deebo as an option to go to at 8.2K, especially against Atlanta. I think that game could be an interesting one, especially let's say Devontae Adams is in a game that has some really bad weather. You don't know, it's Baltimore, right? It could easily be bad. So definitely someone to consider there. I don't want to sleep on these Steelers because, man, Deontay Johnson, the amount of targets that he gets, 10 targets, 11, 14, 13, 13, 6, 13, 13. And here's the key with the targets Deontay Johnson gets. They are low A-dot targets, which equal easier catches, which equals 1 fantasy point right away. And those just add up over time. And Big Ben, he is going to be, he's basically going to be retiring soon, right? So I don't know if the Steelers want to make the playoffs, but Big Ben, he probably wants to chuck to end this, close things out, right? He doesn't want to go out like a dust ball. So I do think Deontay Johnson is a guy that's going to get fed throughout the year, and I want to be on. Jamar Chase, probably a better tournament play. Don't want to mess with Seattle receivers, I think, too much, because I don't really want to play the guessing game. I think they're kind of like the Kings right now. If you play NBA DFS, the Kings are fine. The guys will get there probably based on their price tags, but they just have so many guys there that get a high usage within that offense that my concern is I'm either going to have the really good player or the really bad player, and it just sink my day on basically a coin flip. And I feel like in cash games, do I want to deal with the coin flip of Lockett or DK Metcalf? I don't think I really want to mess with that right now. The price tag is 6.2 on DK Metcalf, which is great, but man, receivers just loaded this week. Do I really need to do that? I think that's a question that I'm really going to be asking myself this week. I don't know what you think about the Seattle situation, Hoop, but like, that's kind of where I'm at. I just don't know if I want to mess with the coin flip in cash games.
Yeah, it's been, the question now going on, 2 years. And, the problem nowadays is that there's just the floor is so much lower on both of them. We've seen games where they both completely bust. It appears that it's Tyler Lockett and there's something going on between Russ and DK where they just can't find this connection. So I'd probably play Lockett or nobody, but it's at a point now where you don't need to play either. Especially in cash games. Last year, a much more stable situation where at least one of them was having a good week each and every week. That's just simply not the case anymore. So in cash games, it's probably a situation I'm looking to avoid. I think the Rams might start to roll here a little bit after that big win last night. So Title, talk to us about the position on FanDuel. What are you liking over there?
It's loaded for sure. Cooper Kupp is my favorite this week, 9K. I like him a little more than Devontae. They're playing in Los Angeles, better matchup against Seattle, whereas Devontae's got Baltimore. Could be pretty cold there, but still 9K Cooper Kupp, 8.5 Devontae, clearly the best two. Deebo Samuel, 8.2, he gets the Falcons. Definitely can't be ignored. I mean, he just finds the box every single week. FanDuel, he fits better because he does find the box. Touchdowns mean more. PPR means less. So I think he's fine. Stephon Diggs, 7.8. Finally, he seems to be back as Josh Allen's number one. He's getting the look. 7.8 feels like a little discount, especially if you're playing Josh Allen in cash. We don't need to correlate, but 7.8's a discount. Then, yeah, Deontay Johnson, 7.2, I think is really strong. CeeDee Lamb, 7.4. I kind of agree. Lockett and DK, I don't think you really need to pick them. I'd rather play Deontay Johnson, probably rather play CD. If you're going down a little bit, OBJ at 6K, I think makes some sense. Julio Jones came back last week. He got 6 targets. He's only 6K as well. I think you could do worse. Jamison Crowder, 5.7. He busted for a lot of people last week. He's cheap. Devontae Parker, 5.8, stuff like that. But I mean, I'd love to get the Deontay Johnson, 7.2. Cooper Kupp, 9K, and then if I could get like one of Diggs or Debo, that'd be ideal. Wide receiver stacked. Last guy, I guess, Devontae Smith. He's wide receiver 1 in Philly. He's 5.9K, so I think he's fine.
Yeah, loaded position. I mean, running back is pretty rough this week. Wide receiver, I think we got a lot of options, and it's going to be some tough decisions there for sure. Heading over to the tight end position. Go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Can we talk about Devontae Parker at 4.3 against that's like, I don't know if you guys mentioned it and I missed it, but double-digit fantasy points last 3 games, right? He had 5 targets, 11, 9. I mean, I know like the weeks are like spaced out and all, and he's gotten banged up, but I just wouldn't sleep on him completely at that cheap price tag. Like Rondale Moore's down there against the Lions. Like that's like a perfect spot for him to absolutely crush. They get him involved in those gadget plays, and like against the Lions, like that's a perfect spot for him, just like the house one in the dome too. So I think there's a lot of really interesting cheap options compared to some other weeks that you can make a case for. And like that Denver Cincinnati game, like there's a lot of cheap wide receivers in there that like could easily pop off like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that Denver Cincinnati game randomly was like a shootout. Also wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those games where they just run the ball a ton. It's just like both teams establishing it and trying to get out of the game. But a lot of interesting cheap options, I think. And wide receiver, there's so many ways you can go, and it might be a wide receiver flex week the more we talk about it.
Yeah, at this point, that might even be the case on FanDuel too, which typically is not the case. You really want to hunt those running backs that score a lot of touchdowns, but FanDuel without many options and the wide receiver position being so loaded, it's going to be the first week in a while in cash games where I might consider going wide receiver as it stands now. I mean, it's still early and we're going to get a lot of news, so things can definitely change as the week goes on. At the tight end position, missing a lot of the big name guys. The one that remains on the slate is George Kittle, who's back-to-back really big weeks, good matchup against Atlanta. The risk with him is San Francisco getting out to a big lead and them kind of just turning it over to the running game, which they will certainly do if they do get a big lead. After him, you have Goddard, who's had some big games. Dawson Knox, very involved in the Bills passing game. Not a ton stands out at the position at this point on FanDuel. Ertz, I think, definitely in play too. 5.3K, just missed a touchdown last night down at the 1 yard line. So as it stands, kind of those are the 4 on FanDuel that I'm kind of pegging title. What do you got here?
Yeah, definitely isn't one of the best. It's not a position I'm going to prioritize. George Kittle, I mean, tight end's been really bad. The upper tier tight end this year, Kelsey's, the Wallers, have been very disappointing. But Kittle's shown his ceiling that this might be the old Kittle. The last 2 games, 7-8's expensive. I'm not 100% sure I can get there in cash. I would love to. But if it looks like he's going to be lower owned, I think in tournaments he's an elite play since he has a ceiling of his own at the position. If you're not playing him, you're just paying down mainly. Goddard, 6K. Pitts 5'8", Dalton Schultz 5'6", Freiermuth 5'3", Zach Ertz 5'3". It's kind of how I'm seeing it. I think it's either Kittle all the way up top, or you find where you have the money and then you just land in the range. Last week in FanDuel, everyone played Kelsey. I went a little different. I just fully punted at Gerald Everett last week at 4.8. It worked out, but then it got me Tyreek and Diggs. It didn't work out that way, but I'm fine punting tight end on FanDuel with Freiermuth 5'3". It's still tight end 1 on the team. He's shown upside. Ertz 5'3". He almost got in the box. These punt tight ends, I think, are a lot more viable this year than they have been in previous years.
Yeah, I mean, we've all played FanDuel a ton over the years, and I think our minds are just positioned to think you just spend up at tight end on FanDuel and move on, because that's just how it's been for years. Like you said, you play Kelsey, you play Waller, you play Kittle, and the floors on those guys are a lot lower this year than they've been in the past. Yes, the past couple of weeks, Kittle's been going off 100%. But Kelsey, I mean, I've played Kelsey a ton, and he just continues to underwhelm. It's a different Chief team. They're willing to win in different ways now, which is good for their team, bad for fantasy. So down the stretch, that's just something to keep in mind. But I agree with you. Like, my mind is built to think, hey, spend up at tight end on FanDuel when you can. Might need to reevaluate that, to be honest with you. Really good point for sure. Mangone, the conversation is much different on DraftKings, where a lot of times at the tight end position, we're looking to go as cheap as possible. Kind of rough this week, even at the cheap end. I mean, are you seeing anything down there, or do you maybe prefer to potentially spend based on these pricing?
So I haven't dipped too much into the cheap end yet, because I do think this mid tier is like strong this week. Like, I do think Kyle Pitts at 5.5 on DK. And again, the Niners, if they're still missing that one cornerback they have, and they have like these like terrible outside corners that are like rookies and not good, like Kyle Pitts, I think is going to be able to bully them. And Cordell Patterson, I think, has opened that offense up enough where I think it's going to definitely help. And I think Kyle Pitts could easily break out in this game. So I kind of like him here in this spot. Let's see. Where's the FanDuel price on Pitts? Because Pitts' price was good too over there. He's 5.8 on 5.8. Yeah. Goddard on FanDuel 6K. Like even Gesicki at 6.2. One of the things I like about Gesicki is, and he's 5K on DK, he's going against the Jets, right? It's like, man, like everyone can score against the Jets. It's just not hard. I think we could field the team out there, like between our Run Pure Sports crew, and like we could get some points in the Jets right now. It's pretty bad out there. So I think that Goddard, Pitts, like even Ertz against the Lions could easily have a good game. I mean, there's just touchdown equity there, right? Like for a guy like Zach Ertz. So I don't hate going to him. Again, the floor can be low, but I think instead of going all the way up, I'm going to try and live in the mid tier. Like, what about Freiermuth at 4.5K hoop and 5.3 on FanDuel? Like, yeah, Freiermuth seems a really good option. And of course, Big Benny, he cannot throw deep. So who's he going to throw to? The guys that are just sitting there, not James Washington running the go route. He's throwing to Freiermuth. He's throwing to Deontay. He's throwing to Najee. So I don't know. I'm not ignoring those guys completely. And I talked about Gerald Everett. I feel like I talk about him every single week. I know Title said he rostered him, and yeah, he kind of just like sucked out and got there. Sure, it wasn't like incredible for him, but he's still only 3.5K, and you get that revenge game against the Rams. And we know DK Metcalf isn't the same. So I don't know. I think that definitely I would be considering a Gerald Everett again at 3.5K. I don't think he's a bad option. I think he's a guy I'm going to just keep saying every single week until that price goes up. So yeah.
Yeah, don't hate that call. The 5.3 for Freiermuth on FanDuel is, I think, really appealing. Touchdown upside, like you said, Big Ben. Seems to like this guy quite a bit. Red zone target, so I don't hate that call. Defense, I mean, kind of going to be the same story. I think this week, as every other week, the Bills at 3.1K. are somewhat interesting. On the cheap end, there's not a ton that stands out, I don't think. On the cheap end, you got the Broncos at home, 2.9K. I'm not seeing like a full punt. Anything stand out? I know we're not going to be prioritizing defense, but anything stand out, Mangone, on DraftKings?
Yeah, I mean, it is always good to look at it. It's one of those weeks where we could have like we could want to go all the way down, or it could be a week where we just get all this value, and then there's like a team that sticks out that you just want to be on, right? That always ends up sometimes being the case. I know we want to probably take some, I know we probably want to take some we want to take Dolphins, but the Jets defense at 2.5 isn't like the worst idea if we really hate defense this week. Jags 2.8 isn't the end of the world. I don't know. It's rough though. It's definitely not pretty. I guess Bills kind of sticks out at 3-1. Like, I mean, the Cam Newton is not it, right? And it is a good bounce back spot for the Bills. And if the weather's bad, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not looking at the weather yet. I'm definitely not looking at the weather on a Tuesday for NFL. But man, if that weather does get ugly, like Cam Newton or PJ Walker trying to throw the rock in Buffalo, that could be really, really nasty. So definitely don't hate that. I think that's an interesting look. And then I think that's the best defense that really sticks out for me on DK.
Yeah, FanDuel, I think low fours is kind of where we're likely to settle. I like the Niners at home. They're 4.3K. You have the Eagles against the Redskins. Is Heineke out? Is he going to be out? He got pretty dinged up, didn't he?
Not sure, but he will fight.
Come back in.
Did he come back in? Maybe he did come back in. I can't remember for sure on that one.
Who can't remember? He was fast forwarding, right? You missed it on the fast forward.
yeah. The fast forward.
I could be wrong too.
I thought Allen finished out that game. I'm not for sure.
Expected to be able to start, so I'll just plan on that.
Cool. Yep, that works. Titans are cheap at 4.1K. Jaguars 3.6K. Home favorites. Obviously, super risky title. Anything stand out defensively on FanDuel?
Yeah, I think the Jags, I mean, the only total below 40.5, you like picking on Houston, home favorites. The Texans are implied, 18 or something. So 3-6, that's kind of what's standing out now, but that obviously can change.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week for news. As we said, we'll have all our content throughout the week updating as the news hits. But I think this is going to be one of the crazier weeks. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope that that's not the case, but I can just see how all this is starting to trend towards a lot of guys being out, a lot of health protocols. We're seeing it in the NBA. We're seeing it in the NFL. I mean, this isn't like a political thing at all, but I really hope at some point they loosen up these restrictions on the teams and the leagues and just let them freaking play. Stop doing all this crazy testing, and it just seems wild to me. But hey, that's what we're in right now, and I anticipate this week to be very, very hectic in terms of the news. Any final thoughts, Title?
Should be an interesting week. We get Saturday football, we get Thursday football, NBA all week, tons of action. It's favorite time of year, personally. NBA, NFL, MMA all going on. It's going to be hectic, going to be crazy, but there's always an edge to be had.
Yeah, 2-game slate on Saturday too. So I mean, we got MMA and that 2-game NFL slate. NBA. It's going to be a crazy, crazy week in terms
Is college football? Is that this week too? The semifinals?
Yeah, I think it's next week.
No. You got a very long time. Very long time till that starts.
It's New Year's. How dumb is that though? On a side note, like how stupid is that? The season ended like 2 weeks ago, and then they don't do the playoff. It's like a 3 or 4 week break.
Yeah. No, so I don't hate it. I don't hate the layoff as much, but because again, we get all these bowl games, and it's funny.
What is it, New Year's?
Yeah, New Year's Eve. It's like crazy.
It's not till New Year's. It's a very long time. But
it's like a 4-week layoff.
Yeah, but the thing is, so we actually get a funny schedule this week. We get so Friday is when the 2 games start, and then your Saturday. And again, like this is why if you can play college football, there is going to be an edge on Saturday. You know why? Because Bruce knows. He knows these teams better than anyone. I'm going to read you the schedule. You got starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, Western Kentucky, Appalachian State, Then 3 hours later, you got UTEP, Fresno State.
Yeah,
then
we got NFL and MMA. No
then
college
you
football
get UAB, BYU, Eastern Michigan, Liberty.
Hey, have fun grinding that shit, man. Go. Me and Title will be in the MMA streets.
I'm out on that.
You can be in the MMA streets. I'll be playing college football. I'll be playing NFL. I'll be doing that instead. So it's going to be an interesting slate. We'll be in the Discord, right? Bruce will be giving you the winners, and there's going to be a massive edge to it. So be sure to check that out, and hopefully we'll be on top of the leaderboards. We'll have a
yes, sir. That's the most important part. RPS in the winner's circle, and it happens on a very frequent basis. If you want to become a member and get the SabreSim optimizer, Saber15 is a promo code. Got what is today? Tuesday. 2 more days, or like a day and a half, basically, to use that code to get access to all the Run Pure Sports content and the SabreSim optimizer, which is right on our website now. And we're working with their developers to kind of incorporate our core plays, cash plays right into the optimizer. Be very easy, very user friendly. So head on over to Run Pure Sports, get that SabreSim optimizer. The code is Saber15, gets you 15% off any package that includes Run Pure Sports and the SabreSim optimizer. We're going to get on out of here, though. We'll have all our content throughout the week for NFL, adjusting based on the news and in and out and whatnot. So make sure to stay tuned to the Run Pure Sports channel, runpuresports.com. Check us out for all our content. For Title, for Mangone, I'm Hoop. We'll see you next week.